Pretty Girl Club. I wanted to talk about Tyla and how a lot of the celebrity tea channels that are run by black women are literally hating on Tyla, saying that she's a flop. And I find it interesting that you've got all of these celebrity tea channels. Has anyone noticed that that sector on YouTube is really dominated by black women, especially when they're talking about black artists? So, on the one hand, you've got people from the black community saying things like, oh, if you're mixed, you're still just black because racist white people will one drop you into blackness. Okay, so if that's the case, why are the main YouTube channels coming against Tyla, trying to call her a flop? Why are they all channels that are run by her fellow black women? Not to mention the fact that people say that Tyla's a flop, or they're saying, oh, yeah, that's why black American people didn't support Tyla. It's because she's arrogant. So it's hilarious that you want to cancel an artist for being arrogant. Tyla has not said one thing that's anti-black. She's never said or done anything against the black community in the United States. But you want to continue to support artists like Chris Brown, who allegedly is very colorist. You want to continue to support all of these people, all of these influencers, all these rappers and R&B singers who are notorious for being colorist, texturist, featurist, and anti-black. You guys are giving these people long-standing careers, helping their careers to last for decades, because that's how male-centered a lot of women are. They worship our male counterparts in a lot of cases, like how they do with Chris Brown. But then when it comes to the women who have a similar phenotype, similar skin tone, and didn't even say anything against unambiguous black American women. Like, I couldn't find not one clip of Tyla saying anything offensive to anyone. But apparently because she couldn't hold her own award, that was arrogant. So asking someone to hold something for you, that's arrogance. And I find it interesting that the main people who love to call artists like Tyla and Ice Spice, the main YouTubers who are calling them flops are black women. Those are the only people that I see calling them flop. I don't see mainstream media calling Tyla a flop. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and pull up some of Tyla's background. So Tyla already has a Grammy. Okay, so she's only in her 20s and already has a Grammy. So apparently, if you have a Grammy, that doesn't count. That's not good enough. You're still a flop. So do you see what I mean when I say that our pedestal is in the sky? Because suddenly, when it comes to a multiracial artist who actually has self-esteem, like Tyla, now suddenly winning a Grammy is not even enough. So they're putting these invisible standards on Tyla. And it's like, okay, when they want to call people a flop, what exactly does it take to not be a flop? Because the last time I checked, there are plenty of music artists who do not have a Grammy, who I don't see black women considering a flop, Normani. So Tyla's a flop, but Normani is not. So Tyla is literally a Grammy Award-winning artist. She has also won a BET Award, a Music Video Award from MTV, MTV Europe Music Award. Billboard R&B's #1s. She was honored with the Global Force Award, Billboard Women in Music in 2025. She received the prestigious Impact Award for her influence. She also received multiple recognitions by the South African Music Awards. So this is what flopping looks like? Notice how their standards for flopping when it comes to women that they wish they look like in a lot of cases, because let's be honest, a lot of people in the black community, we just saw women macing babies and fighting in parking lots over bundles that look like Tyla's natural hair. We literally just saw thousands of women fighting to purchase Tyla's hair texture just the other day. Yet, because people are saying that Tyla didn't sell a high amount of albums, apparently that makes her a flop. First of all, who buys albums? Who even does that? Who's dumb enough to actually pay money for something where all I have to do is just download it on my phone? Okay, so I already have Apple Music, so I don't have to go and purchase an album. I don't even, do CDs even exist? Like, how are they even calculating that? Also, not to mention the fact that anyone who's in the music industry is an entrepreneur. Okay, so all you're doing is not music. You're doing way more things other than just singing a song and recording on a track. A lot of artists, they don't even receive a lot of money from their albums. And so success is not truly measured by your album sales, as we can see, because Tyla is still very visible in the public eye. I've seen Tyla featured on so many different songs. Her music videos that she posts on YouTube, they get millions of views. I love watching her music videos while I'm working out, by the way. That's like one of my favorite things to do when I'm on the elliptical. So I find it interesting that people are going out of their way to find a reason to dislike Tyla. They couldn't find anything colorist, texturist, or featurist that she said. And so they're just assuming that she's arrogant. And it's like, okay, so you want to police women for being arrogant. Where's that energy with Chris Brown? Where's that energy with all the male artists? Where's that energy with white people? Why are people constantly coming for someone like Tyla saying that, oh, well, she's a flop or she's not even good or her career is not popping off like we thought it would? And it's like, clearly her career is popping off. So just because some random YouTubers don't believe that she's successful, guess what? That's not canceling out her actual success. She's still rich. She's still famous. She's still more relevant than most of those people will ever be. She's more relevant than the people talking shit. And has anyone else noticed that when it comes to music, suddenly people in the black celebrity YouTube sector want to pretend like they're experts on music? So you want to pretend like you're an expert on the music industry, yet you cannot get your phenotype to even be represented in that same industry. So suddenly you're an expert on who's a good singer and who's not. We saw just a few weeks ago they were coming for Amory. So basically, if you don't sing like a church auntie, then you're not a good singer. So that's why they were complaining about Amory a few weeks ago, saying that she sounded bad, she can't really sing. And now, a couple weeks later, now they're saying apparently Tyla is a flop, aka a failure. I mean, let's look up a thesaurus definition of that word flop. One of the top 10 words in the thesaurus for flop is a failure. So saying that someone flopped is like saying that they failed or they're a failure. Do you think that society as a whole views Tyla as a failure? Because just because some random anonymous YouTubers on the internet who are probably being paid off, a lot of times people only come after certain artists or like these celebrity tea channels. Have you ever noticed that they're all biased in one way or another? Like they will come for certain artists and then other artists they won't come for them at all. They will name Tyla's flaws, but they won't name Normani's flaws. You know what I mean? Like they'll target certain people that they feel they can get away with talking shit about, or they will play into the inferiority complex of their subscribers by trying to plaster it on their YouTube page like, oh, look, these people are failures. Look at all these people. They're flopping. Oh, look, these people are irrelevant now. And it's like, okay, sis, who are you trying to convince? Me or yourself? Because it's giving coping mechanism. Tyla is extremely successful. She is extremely visible. She doesn't have to make another piece of music for the rest of her life if she doesn't want to. And she will still be well known. She will still be internationally famous. The girl is not even from the United States, for God's sakes. And then also I saw that people were saying that they didn't support her because she identifies as mixed race. Because she called herself colored. And she didn't use the phrase black. Like, she didn't say, I'm black or I'm a black woman. And it's like, okay, she's not from the United States. Why is it that everybody else is expected to assimilate to African American culture? If she is from another country and she's from another culture and that's the phrase they use to describe themselves, what's wrong with that? So you're mad because she won't pretend like she's familiar with African American culture? You're mad because she's not assimilating into an African American stereotype? And it's like, which one is it? Do you want Tyla to be the face of blackness or not? Do you want Tyla to be the representation for African American women or not? Because shouldn't you choose someone who's actually African American? I mean, I think Normani would have been a good choice. She would have been good representation, but no. A lot of women in the black community, they like to ignore up-and-coming dark-skinned black female artists like Normani. So instead of making videos on their celebrity tea channels about how awesome Normani is, they'd rather create videos trying to tear down women like Tyla, who are clearly successful. And also, even if her album did flop, like even if she didn't get a lot of sales in the first week or whatever, that's proof that you don't have to have high album sales in order to be successful. And this is what I talk about on this channel all the time. When you already have social status, when you already have multiple sources of validation, you don't have to rely on something like album sales. Tyla can get brand deals. She can do social media if she wants to. She could probably go into acting or something. You know how they have those musicals and stuff? I know Ariana Grande was in Wicked. So it's like a lot of artists, they branch off into other fields. So Tyla doesn't even have to stay in the field of music if she doesn't want to. And I feel like sometimes people, they have this inferiority complex where they feel like because they don't have the beauty, because they don't have the personality, because they don't have the same confidence as someone like Tyla, they have to overcompensate when it comes to things like album sales, or they have to overcompensate with talent or with something else. And by the way, Tyla actually is talented. She actually can sing. I think she has a good range. I think that she can dance and everything. But it's like she doesn't have to overcompensate and she doesn't have to perform in order to gain the approval of African Americans. African Americans do not dominate Hollywood. And Tyla is proof of that. Because if the argument is that she only sold 3,000 copies or however many albums she sold, if she only sold a low amount of copies, but she is still that visible and that much in the public eye on an international scale, that shows you that the African Americans who are complaining have no power. And also, I thought Hollywood is notoriously colorist, texturist, featurist, racist, and anti black. So why do we even care who succeeds in Hollywood or not? Why would you even make videos talking about, oh, well, Tyla didn't make it, or she's a flop? She flopped in comparison to, and it's like, she flopped in comparison to who? Whose standard, who is your standard of success in Hollywood when it comes to music? Is it Beyonce? Because that's another woman that benefits from colorism, texturism, featurism. She's also mixed race. So it's like, okay, what standard are you holding Tyla to? And also, why is it that when a woman has pretty privilege or when she has confidence, now suddenly everything else about her has to be perfect? And if she has any imperfections or if she doesn't really understand African American culture, then suddenly she doesn't deserve to be famous. You're not mad that Tyla flopped. You're mad at the fact that she flopped and is still popular. That's what it is. A lot of people are mad at Tyla's popularity. They're mad at her social status. They're mad at her beauty. They're mad at the fact that she is accepted and embraced in Hollywood. They're mad at the fact that Tyla gets to have fame. She gets to have all these awards and all these accolades. And she doesn't have to put on a fake pro-black, woke African American personality. She probably doesn't even know what that is because she's not even from the United States. And I see people trying to humble her, saying like, oh, she thought it was cute when people called her an uppity African and she doubled down and that's what she gets. She only sold 3,000 albums. And it's like, sis, she doesn't care. Clearly, Tyla doesn't give a fuck about her only selling 3,000 albums. Like, what do you want from Tyla? Do you want her to go crawl into a corner and cry? Like, I don't know what people are expecting Tyla's reaction to be, but she is still booked and busy whether she makes another song for the rest of her life. Look at Cardi B. Cardi B is another great example of this. Cardi B did not create a whole bunch of albums. She created what, maybe one album? I think she just came out with a new song recently. And she is still relevant. A lot of people are watching her every move, and Tyla has that same pull. She's the villain. A lot of people love to villainize women that reflect their insecurities. A lot of people are insecure about the very things that Tyla has. Tyla has confidence. That's something that a lot of women don't have. Tyla has beauty. That's something that a lot of women don't have. Tyla has a nice body. She's thin. She has thin privilege. That's definitely something a lot of women don't have. Tyla has her youth. She didn't waste her youth on a Dusty. She didn't waste her time having babies or, being super male-centered. I haven't seen anything about Tyla being with some guy or chasing after a guy or anything. She's just focused on her career. So I think that Tyla's existence is very triggering to women with inferiority complexes, just in general. And then I see people saying, oh, Tyla thought she was going to come out on top, but she didn't. And it's like, okay, now you're projecting your thoughts onto Tyla. Now you think you know what Tyla's thinking. So you think that Tyla is arrogant. You think that she thinks she's all that. It's that typical stereotype. She thinks she's all that. And then they're saying that Tyla's album flopped because she alienated her core audience, which was Black American women. And it's like, okay, so then that proves my talking point that a lot of Black American women worship Black women who are mixed, like Tyla. So it's like, which one is it? Do you worship mixed women and put them on a pedestal, women who benefit from isms? Do Black American women worship those women or not? Yes or no? Were Black American women truly her core audience? Because if so, then that proves my point that a lot of women who do not look like Tyla at all, not mixed at all, not South African, have nothing in common with Tyla. Body type is totally different. Jaw structure is totally different. Bone structure is different than hers. Hair texture is different. Women who have nothing in common with Tyla, you're telling me that's her core audience? That says more about her audience than it does about her. And then I see people saying on TikTok that, like, she brought her superiority complex to America and she's upholding a colorist system. And it's like, okay, so now Tyla is the creator and upholder of colorism. Do you see what I mean? Do you see what I mean when I say that a lot of people, they use Exoticals as the scapegoat for all of their internalized traumas? So you got no smoke for the white owners of Hollywood, no smoke for the people who own these record labels, no smoke for the people who sabotaged Normani or ignored her. Oh, and by the way, who's Normani's core audience? You know, since having an African American core audience is so powerful, who's Normani's core audience? Why couldn't that same core audience cause Normani or Kelly Rowland to surpass people like Beyonce? Why is it that Kelly Rowland is doing an opening act now? Kelly Rowland is actually opening for, I think, Brandy and Monica. So why is it that that same core audience, the same one that they're claiming is Tyla's audience, African American women, why weren't they able to make dark-skinned black women successful since they're so powerful? Since they pick and choose and decide who gets to succeed or who flops, then why couldn't they help their fellow dark-skinned women, especially having that much trauma when it comes to things like colorism, texturism, and featureism? Why would that same core audience not support women who truly do represent their phenotype, like Ari Lennox? Why is Ari Lennox constantly crashing out on social media saying that she doesn't even like her core audience? Who do you think Ari Lennox's core audience is? If having a black female audience is so powerful, why are unambiguous black women not dominating in every area? So you're telling me that this core audience has the power to make or break someone's entire music career. They can make or break you. They can cause Tyla to be poor, apparently. And I feel like that's how I know it's a coping mechanism. A lot of women with inferiority complexes, they want to feel powerful. And so what they'll do is they'll try to humble the women that they feel are on a pedestal. And they'll try to say, ha ha, see, that's what you get. And it's like, meanwhile, if you actually look at the numbers, and if you actually look at how things turn out as the years go by, the black community must love colorists then. Because Rihanna is a billionaire. She's currently having the babies of a colorist. Isn't A$AP Rocky a notorious colorist? Isn't Rihanna, wasn't she known over the past few decades for specifically bullying dark-skinned, monoracial black women on social media? Remember that one girl who had the same outfit as Rihanna, and then Rihanna was like laughing at her and stuff? And then Rihanna also dated another colorist, Chris Brown, right? He's a colorist. I thought he was colorist too. Isn't he the one that said he doesn't even let dark-skinned women like in his section or something? So it's like, I love how they pick and choose who they think is superior and who's not. And then they love to threaten these up-and-coming artists and saying things like, haha, you're a flop. And in reality, none of those artists actually flop. They don't flop. In fact, a lot of them become more popular. Kane, she gained over 1 million followers on TikTok after being accused of being colorist. And then with this whole thing about like her albums not selling and stuff, nobody's album is selling. Hollywood as a whole is struggling right now because the economy in general is struggling. So there are much bigger problems in the world than just whose album sales are being affected. Like everybody's album sales get affected depending on the economy. So that's the last thing that the average American is thinking about, is purchasing a Tyla album. So I find it hilarious how Tyla is to blame. Anything bad that happens is Tyla's fault. And by the way, having people even purchase your album in the first place, Tyla is very privileged. She has a position that a lot of musicians would love to have. Do you know how many people are not even signed with a record label right now? Do you know how many people don't even get the opportunity to perform? So I find it interesting how you got these random celebrity tea YouTubers bypassing all of Tyla's accolades, bypassing the fact that she's in her 20s and is already an international sensation. They're bypassing all of that just so they could try to convince Tyla that she's somehow a flop, when we know that that's nowhere near being true. Tyla is actually one of the most visible celebrities that I've seen recently. Like everywhere I go, I see Tyla. I see her on Instagram popping up. I see her on when I'm in a bar or something and there's like a TV on, I will see some sort of commercial or something with Tyla in it. I've seen people talking about her on YouTube. So Tyla is actually an it girl. And people always do this to up and coming artists. It's regardless of their racial background. If you have any sort of privilege and you are on the up and up, people are going to attack you. They're currently doing it with Sabrina Carpenter as well. Um, they do this. They did this with Ariana Grande when she first started becoming popular, and now it is happening to Tyla. So at this point, I consider it to be actually good luck. If you've got a large group of women, especially women who feel like they're less privileged than you, hating on you and trying to find a reason to cancel you. I think Tyla actually has a very bright future ahead of her because look how mad she's making people. She hasn't even, first of all, her song went triple platinum. The water song that went triple platinum. But it's like, okay, if people are this triggered over her going triple platinum with one song, and then I saw people saying she's a one-hit wonder. Well, she's doing pretty damn good for a one-hit wonder. If this is the definition of a one-hit wonder who's a failure, if failure means winning a Grammy and being a multimillionaire and collaborating with all these other artists, that looks pretty damn good. If Tyla's a failure, what are you? That's my question. For all the people who don't like Tyla, if Tyla's a flop, what are you? I mean, look at YouTubers like Queen Chama on YouTube. She loves talking about rap artists who are flops. She loves talking about influencers who flopped, and it's like Queen Chama wanted to be a rapper herself. So it's like, sis, if Ice Spice is a flop, and if people like Tyla are a flop, then what are you? As someone who never even got signed with a label, as someone who never even performed in front of these crowds, as someone who never won a Grammy, what does that make you? Anyway, what do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section, and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.